Nasty.
It's Payday A.J. and Nasty Nate coming at you from the Bull City, Durham, North Carolina.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Coming in off the Thanksgiving break. 2 years, by the way. 2 years of podcasting. I mean, been putting it down.
Yeah, man.
660 or so subscribers, so we only need like 10 more years, and we might break the 1,000 mark or something, man. We on the move. These fools don't get it. They ain't watching. They don't know, man. We're talking about it. We warned you about Trump, and then it came. You know, we told you what was going to happen. We keep telling you things that are going to happen. Maybe you need to tune in. Maybe
it's a 1 year of Trump. 1 year of Trump.
Almost 1 year of Trump. Yep. It's getting rough, and we've got a few of his things here, and so
greatest hits.
Man, I don't know about greatest because this dude can top himself any day of the week, any minute. It never ends. It never ends. No. But so might as well just since we're talking about that fool, might as well jump into what it is.
Fools on parade.
So I saw this article and I just found it so interesting. Where over in France, somebody who is an escargot farmer, you know what I mean? Snail, right? Got robbed for like 100,000 euros worth of snail meat. Can you imagine?
That sounds gross when you describe it like that.
Snail meat.
Yeah.
They plotting. And then they were saying like, coming up on the holidays, it's a big deal. People like their snail meat. And somebody took 100,000 euros. How do you rob? Think about the plotting it takes.
I wonder how many pounds that is. I wonder how much volume that is.
Apparently, it's significant enough to really affect this farmer. Now, this stuff has to stay on ice, I'm sure.
Yeah.
I guess. I don't know if they took the live snails. I'm guessing they took the harvested. I don't know. I don't know enough about this, but it sounds crazy because you have to have a buyer. Yeah. I mean, this is not a market that I've thought about somebody robbing people in. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, I can't imagine like me and you hanging out and I'm like, what you been up to, man? You're like, man, I hit a lick on that snail meat, dog. I mean, that would be.
It's a regional thing. Obviously, you'd have to know like where that's going on, right?
But, yeah, exactly. Like somebody on the inside, this is an inside job.
For sure.
I want to see that movie. It's like Ocean's 1. You know what I'm saying? Some dude was like, I got the scheme of a lifetime. I'm going to take $100,000 worth of snail meat from this dude. It's foolish. The whole thing's foolish.
Yeah.
I don't,
Yeah.
I just had not imagined that could happen. Somebody plotted that out, worked it out, and stole some snail meat.
Ruined that farmer's holiday.
Man, messed it up. Have you seen on the news, they've got this dude, Brian Walsh. He's on trial for murdering his wife in Massachusetts. Have you seen this dude?
Yeah, I think I've seen a little bit of this.
So on the first day of the trial, his lawyers, along with him, went ahead and said, look, okay, yes, he did chop his wife into pieces. And yes, he did try to dispose of her body. Okay. But he didn't kill her. Right. And so they go through everything. And his defense is that she just died next to him in the bed. She just died, woke up dead, as I like to call it, So, and he didn't believe that anybody would believe it happened. So, of course, the only thing to do is you got to get rid of the body. And that's what every rational person would do. Now, along the way, it turns out that he was on his son's iPad Googling things like how do you get DNA off of a knife and how long, there was a $2.4 million life insurance policy and how long does it take to pay out? He was Googling these things and he was having an affair, but he's innocent.
Of course.
I mean, this dude's like a victim, essentially.
Yeah.
And they pointed out that.
Why did she go down him like that?
Well, here's the thing. We'll never.
How inconvenient.
We can't know because he destroyed the body, basically. Right. So all of the evidence against this dude is circumstantial evidence. So I don't know what to say. This dude's a fool. Dude's a fool and a murderer, by the way. We need to be clear. He's clearly a murderer, but you, sir, are a fool and a murderer. I don't know which is worse.
This is, we point out every time we get a chance, with the kind of public service announcements where, don't do these.
Don't do this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if you wake up next to a dead body, don't dismember it, chop it up into pieces.
Don't start plotting on how to get rid of it. And
try to get rid of the body. Don't do that.
That's right. I like how you're leaning in on the fact that he woke up next to a dead body. Right?
Right. Even if that is the case, right?
She woke up dead. I don't know what happened, man. Yeah, he knows what happened. He knows everything.
I know. So before that, let's go ahead and lean into the probably not a good idea to go Googling things on your computer.
No, related to how you dispose of a body and everything else.
Don't do that. I
got to think that once you jump over the hump of chopping a human being up that you were married to, It's going to be hard to make that case in court that you weren't involved in the killing part. That just seems,
So back in the day, I don't know if they have these anymore, but the internet cafes.
Yeah.
So that would be the only place.
And that's what folks used to do. And then they would use like video footage of you going into the internet cafe and they'd be like, that computer search for this crazy stuff. That happens.
Yeah.
That happens, but not anymore.
No.
Now you use your son's iPad. That's genius.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
It's not mine.
Nobody
They would never look at my son's iPad searches. Okay, sure. I saw where Ireland Baldwin, which is Alec Baldwin's daughter, I think the one he got in trouble for screaming at that time on that voicemail, if anybody remembers that episode. She was out there criticizing Kim Kardashian because Kim Kardashian was doing something, posting some stuff, but she had a $125,000 Birkin bag when she was posting. And so Ireland Baldwin was pointing out that that's kind of messed up. People are suffering. There's income insecurity and food insecurity and inequity all over the world. And if you're an influencer and making money off people like this, then you should be relatable. And I got to say, I think Ireland Baldwin's got the game twisted up. I don't think she gets it. You know what I mean? Because ain't nobody relating to a broke person. That's not how this works. And at the end of the day, if you're saying that everybody out there is suffering and it's bad and you don't know people's condition, Kim just told you her condition. She was letting the people who care about her know she's straight, dog.
Yeah, she's doing all right.
She got a $125,000 bag.
Yeah.
Ain't no reason. You know what I'm saying? Ain't nobody tuning in to the folks that ain't got no $125,000 bag.
And I think Miss Baldwin might be a little bit misguided in that, if you're going to complain about things.
Mm-hmm. That's not one.
That's it. I think you let that one go. I think you chalk that up to be like, that's Kim.
Yeah, that's what she does.
That's Miss Kardashian. We'll let her do her thing. I don't think you need to go
And the reason people check her out is because she's got it going on. That's how she makes the money. She doesn't make the money from toning it down. Mm-mm. She's never toned anything down. So I'm just saying, I'm going to call Ireland Baldwin a fool on this one. I'm going to say you're foolish. You don't get the game. You don't know what celebrity worship is.
Yeah.
And it's very heartwarming to know that Kim Kardashian's okay. She's going to be all right. She was just security signaling. How about that? She was letting you know that she is financially secure. She is doing A-okay. So I saw this was wild. I saw where the World Health Organization has designated cannabis hyperemesis, if I pronounced that right, syndrome. So we're going to call it CHS as a real condition for the first time. It affects a number of people whereby when they consume THC, they begin to vomit violently in pain. And what is described as scromiting, because they scream and vomit at the same time.
Yeah, I don't think I would ever do that again.
It's that simple, right? Isn't it that simple? Mm-hmm. How foolish do you have to be? If you do something and it causes you to scream and vomit at the same time. Look, I even went and had to get some AI images on some of this stuff. I apologize, but it is what it is. Here we go. Now, he's got a bong in his hand, by the way. He's got the bong, and for some reason his hand wraps all the way around the toilet. That's what AI will do for you. I had some of them where they were just popping up out of the toilet like skibbity toilet almost. But it seems like a simple answer. You gotta be damn foolish, man. If I do something and it causes me to scream and vomit, I'm gonna start to figure out how to change that.
Yeah,
fools. But scromiting. You ever heard of that?
Mm-mm.
I ain't never heard the term scromiting until now. I read it and I bust out laughing. I was like, man, who's out there scromiting? And it's
continuing
voluntary. You're like, I don't know. Every time I do, it's the same fools for sure. So and this is a tragedy, after the tragic shooting of the 2 National Guard members in D.C. that made the news this past week, an anonymous source with inside information about the shooter, who was an Afghan national, formerly worked with the CIA in Afghanistan, they came out and said that the man was having a hard time and was suffering through a personal crisis. He couldn't hold a job, didn't speak English very well, distanced himself from his family, would close himself away for hours in a dark room surfing the internet, would just disappear on long road trips around the country without telling anyone he was leaving or where he was going. And the source saying, I'm not a doctor, but I think he was suffering from PTSD. Then the source said, there were no warning signs that something like this could happen. That sounds like a list of warning signs, you fool. That's exactly everything you just listed. The entire conversation, everything you just said sounds like warning signs.
You just described a lone wolf.
Yeah, you just described warning signs.
Yeah.
And you said this person was in a personal crisis. Well, if you know that much about them, we're heading, disappearing for days on end. Okay.
Nobody asked him how he was doing?
Yeah, distancing themselves from their families. Now, I get it. There is, people say that these folks don't have any support. Basically, they bring them over to the country and say, hey, you're in America, good luck.
Yeah.
And so obviously that doesn't work for this person. But I'm just saying, you can't come out and say there weren't any warning signs. You should just not talked because you sound like a fool. That's all I'm saying. You can't tell somebody, here's a litany, you know what I'm saying, here's the whole list of everything that happened that would tell you something bad's happening and then say, man, nobody could have guessed. Maybe you couldn't have guessed that they were going to shoot 2 people from the National Guard in D.C. on that day. I'll give you credit on that one. That's a little tough.
Yeah.
Sounds like they were going to do something. Foolish. Yeah. You agree?
Yeah.
I think that's pretty foolish.
Yeah.
I wouldn't put my name on that.
No.
I wouldn't list off every reason, and then say, but I didn't remember.
Yeah.
I didn't see anything coming. Yeah, you did.
It sounded like they cared.
Yeah, this person was into it. You know? I think they worked in the government with folks who were relocated and just didn't want to be identified.
Yeah.
So one of our favorite fools, Joy Reid. Here we go. Let's see if I can find her. That was the shooter right there. But here's Joy Reid. Joy Reid said that J.D. Vance she was just doing an interview. She's just throwing it out there. He could ditch his brown Hindu wife for white queen Erica Kirk to appeal to the MAGA base. He could just, I mean, what are we talking about?
Joy's on the show a lot on this.
She is because she lost her job at MSNBC. I think because she's too foolish.
Yeah.
It's like it's hard to get over the hump. I've openly told you I think she's one of the most racist people I've ever heard on. I mean, how can you say he's going to ditch his brown Hindu wife for white queen Erica? What are you talking about? We have ICE on the streets. We got tariffs. I mean, this person claims to be talking about politics. And this is what it's devolved to.
Right.
Like the Real Housewives of Washington D.C.
Right.
I mean, this is bullshit, man. And I have to call it out when I see it because I'm like, that's not. I just can't. How am I? We sitting and have a comment. Wouldn't it be cool if he left his wife? Like it'd be fun to watch or something, and a white queen
to talk about it.
Yeah. I mean, is this Hillbilly LG Part 2? Are we coming up with some sort of script here or something? Like white queen versus brown Hindu. Who talks like that?
So I have to assume that at some point Joy said something that's worthwhile.
I'm sure out of everything she's ever said, but the things that make the news are always a little foolish in my opinion.
Yeah.
And she gets paid to talk.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, if you get paid to talk, can you at least try?
Right.
That's all I'm asking is that you put a little bit of thought, not like, well, what if he leaves his brown Hindu wife for white queen? This woman's husband just died a couple months. Like, can we chill out here? This is not a soap opera. It's not that much fun. I mean, if that was all we had to worry about, that would be fun. That would be great. But we got way bigger problems than that. Look, call me out on it when this dude leaves his wife. Okay. Let me know. But keep in mind that you're even twisting this up. This man married an Indian woman. Okay. A woman of Indian descent. I know we're like so eager to call him so many things, but he did that. And so you projecting the idea that he's going to leave her for a white queen. I mean, it just seems a little off. I don't know. It's a stretch.
Yeah.
It's a stretch. We're not watching Dallas and Knots Landing and, what I'm saying, and the Real Housewives. This is bullshit. She's foolish. Joy Reid is always foolish. So the Trump administration, I could just stop there and say these are fools because they're going to do something foolish. And that is AI generated. I will admit, I did tell it, like, show me Trump with bullets around his neck and him flipping people off. But peep this. They have opened the first ever Second Amendment rights division at the Department of Justice. Second Amendment rights. Now, these folks are the same people who created Doge to get rid of waste, fraud, and abuse so that they could save money.
This sounds like one of the first departments you would cut.
I mean, and this is against the backdrop of all these mass shootings and gun violence and school shootings and conversations about guns where people are rightfully outraged about these situations that have happened, and we're trying to figure out what can be done. And his answer is to show up and say, well, we need to protect the gun owners. even worse, in my opinion, isn't that the reason they own the damn guns in the
They
first
don't need
place?
protection. They got that protection.
They've got protection.
That's right.
They tell you that I have my guns to protect myself from the government. Well, cool then. We don't really have to take an extra step to look out for you. Now, I'm not in this arena. Maybe there's a long list of people who've had their gun rights violated, and it really needs to be looked at. It's just
And you don't hear a bunch of cases being brought against gun owners.
And it just doesn't seem like now's the time or the place. Maybe we shouldn't be doing that. And this dude's just, I mean, this is downright hypocritical, heartless tomfoolery is what this is. This man is a fool. Donald Trump is the man. He's leader of the parade. He's out front just marching along. And how is this not trolling? What is this?
Yeah.
You got mass shootings and you're like, got to make sure we look out for the people who own guns. Really? Is it now the time to have that conversation?
That he knows who his base is.
So speaking of Thanksgiving, which not a part of that, but I had no other lead in. Republican Representative Anna Paulina Luna posted online over Thanksgiving. She said, next year, I think I'm going to hold a contest to show up at someone's Thanksgiving Day dinner to debate their leftist family members. What do you think? That's what she said. What do you think? And since she asked,
don't do that.
Since she's asking, I gotta say that maybe she doesn't get it. You know, and I don't mean any offense, but she is a Mexican American. And so maybe she doesn't understand Thanksgiving. Maybe she doesn't understand the significance of it and how important it is to us. We get this one event per year where we can bring our family in. We can all gather. We can have a great meal. We can celebrate colonialism, genocide of the Native Americans in peace. There's no reason to bring politics into this shit. Okay. I mean, like, why would you ruin that? That's not what we're doing. And I just don't think, why would you want to show up and start debating people in that situation? That's not what we do. This is a beautiful event. And we do it every year over and over and over. You get to have turkey.
Yeah.
When else do you cook a freaking turkey? Never. Right.
A month later at Christmas.
Maybe. Some people don't. Not everybody has a Christmas turkey, but still, you see where I'm coming from.
I know what you're saying.
I don't think she gets it. You have to be singularly American to understand the significance of Thanksgiving. I just don't. There's no room there to be having political debates. That's not what we're doing. We're enjoying ourselves, hanging out with our family. She's a fool. She's a fool. That's not what we do. Don't do that. In related news, over Thanksgiving, Donald Trump decided to start posting online, which he loves to do, and he called Minnesota Governor Tim Walz seriously retarded. That's what he said. This is over Thanksgiving. This is when we're having that celebration and hanging with our family. And so there you go. He just did what she said. He just invaded every single person in America's Thanksgiving and debated their leftist family members all at once at the same time. It's impressive that he can pull this off because nobody should talk that way. This man's 80 years old. Think about it. Like, you've had that much time, that many thoughts in your head, and he's rage posting online calling somebody retarded. Nobody wants to hear that. That's not what you do.
Yeah.
How many people are you making mad? You know what I'm saying? What are you accomplishing?
It's the leader of the free world.
Leader of the free world, most powerful man on the planet. And he's sitting there. The kids are coming in like, hey, granddad, we're about to, say grace, come to the table. He's like, hold up. I got to call somebody retarded online real quick, Get him, granddad. Is that, because sure, who around that, I understand. His kids can go to hell, okay? Somebody in that family's got to take that man's phone, though. This is the same man who talks so much about Biden being incapacitated and old, not know what he's doing. If you had somebody in your family, 80 years old, sitting on their phone, calling people retarded online at Thanksgiving, wouldn't you say, hey, it's time to hand the phone in, right?
Yeah.
This is the equivalent of them driving and wrecking all the time. You take the keys.
We're taking your socials away.
Yeah, but not him, right? And I'm saying, if I'm making the argument that he is deteriorating, why would you be doing this? Well, that makes no sense. It seems like you're tripping in the head. I could see where somebody would say, no, this is peak Trump. And I wouldn't be able to argue with that either, because I'm not sure he gets any better. This is probably about, in his entire life, again, 80 years to get to this point. And this fool at Thanksgiving is posting online, calling people retarded. And his wife, remember, has a cause at the White House against cyberbullying. Dear God, you're foolish.
Clean up your own backyard.
She a fool too. She a fool too. They all fools. Lifelong foolery going on here. So we have more details about the fallout. And I've still got Napoleon Lewis. Look at him with his turkey, by the way. He mad with his phone, like, I'm gonna get him. That's not how we live, man. That's un-American is what that is. You're not celebrating Thanksgiving right. Here we go. So we got more fallout coming from Ryan Reynolds, Blake Lively, and Justin Baldoni. Apparently, back when they started this stuff, one of the things that set off Ryan Reynolds, if you're familiar with it, is that Baldoni had asked about Blake Lively's weight when they were filming this movie. And so at some point, Ryan Reynolds called this dude to his crib. Called him to the crib and said, yo, I'm finna go off on you. And just gave him a dressing down, just punked him down. But more details have come out. While he was doing this, Taylor Swift and Hugh Jackman were at the crib too. So you got super celebrities walking by while this dude's just punking you down. And Jason Baldoni apparently broke into tears. You're a fool. You're a bitch. That, I hate to tell you, that is not the response you're supposed to have. You either walk out or you punch this man in his mouth. That's your only two options.
It's funny to imagine, like, Ryan Reynolds is going off on you and Wolverine walks by to, like, get a beer out of the fridge or something and then just keep walking out of the room.
And that's what I'm saying. How weak are you looking right here, man? You got to man up, dog. You can't take that. That's not how that works. And to prove my point, crime didn't work. You're a pariah in Hollywood now. You lost your case. Ain't nobody trying to work with you. You see what I'm saying? Like, maybe you should have stood up for yourself and be like, no, hell no. If you didn't do nothing wrong, then you ought to be mad. You ain't going to be crying. Ain't no crying. Imagine Ryan Reynolds trying to go off on you. I'd be like, oh, man, you need to chill out for a second, bro.
Slow down, Deadpool.
Yeah, exactly. I like your movies, but, man, we ain't finna act like that. You ain't finna talk to me like that. And why you even go to his crib anyway? He call you to the crib and you show up like a bitch. You know what I mean? You'd be like, no, I'll meet you at the coffee shop or something.
So you'd have to ask, right? Is Wolverine over there?
Yeah, like, who's there? Are you trying to pump me down in front of a bunch of other celebrities and make me look weak? Yes, I am. Even made fun of him in his own movie. Come on, man. You got to do better than that. You're a fool. You're a fool, Baldoni. That's all you are. You're a fool. So Fox News contributor Caroline Sunshine. I didn't make that up. That's her name. Caroline Sunshine. Rhymes. She was on Hannity criticizing Arizona Senator Mark Kelly. And she said that he reminds her of John McCain because, quote, they both have the same loser energy. Loser energy.
Damn.
I know. She went on to say they both wish they could be president, but never will. Now, besides all the details about these men's lives, I have to point out that John McCain's been dead since 2018, and she was talking about him like he's not, and so that's foolish in and of itself.
Don't speak ill of the dead.
Why you catching strays from somebody named Caroline Sunshine?
Like, who are you?
A former Disney Channel show star as a kid who's now worked in the Trump administration and is on Hannity talking on Fight. Some bullshit right here. Yeah. But you really need to, I don't think John McCain is wishing he could be president. He ain't wishing nothing. None of this is happening, okay? But now, this fool, with a porn name, by the way, I got to point out, Caroline Sunshine's a porn name. There's no reason to ignore that. I didn't. Her parents gave her that name. I didn't give her that. It's not even a stage name. That's her real name. Now, she's out here talking shit. Think about this, about military vets, prisoners of war, senators, and astronauts all at the same time. Who the fuck is you?
What's her resume look like?
That's what I'm saying.
Let me see. What has she done?
How far down? Oh, my goodness gracious. Who do you think you are?
Yeah.
They both have the same loser energy. They didn't lose like you. You know what I'm saying? They ain't on Hannity just talking trash about people who you will never accomplish the things they accomplish. Chill out. You know what I'm saying? That's about as foolish as it gets. All I'm saying.
Yeah.
And again, I didn't give her that name. So don't put that on me. When you have a porn name, you have a porn name. Your name shouldn't rhyme. That's all I'm saying. If your name rhymes, like, you need to be mad at your parents and change that junk first chance you get. That's all I'm saying. Caroline Sunshine. Every time I typed it, even my computer wouldn't let me type it. It was like, no, it must be Carolina. I was like, no, it's Caroline Sunshine. I had to, check your sources. So another fool out here, boy. Curtis 50 Cent Jackson. He's producing a documentary on Netflix titled Sean Combs: The Reckoning.
Man, he just can't get enough hate.
Oh boy. Well, let me. There's Caroline Sunshine, by the way. Let me get to. Oh, look at him smiling. Look at him smile. He's so happy. All these years,
he loves hating.
All these years going after Puffy, and here we are. He's curb stomping him with the documentary on Netflix.
He was telling everybody about Puffy for a long time. He's been telling you
for a long time. Boy.
I mean, at least 2 decades.
Hey, 50 a fool, but a different kind of fool. He's not the same kind of fool as these other fools. 50 acting foolish, man. He's having a good. Like in this moment. It's time to act a fool.
All right.
And that's all I got for this week on Fools on Parade. It's time to move into the politics.
I hate you. Damn pedophile. Fascists suck.
Yay, protests.
Yeah, politics is nasty business.
It really is. So going back to the situation where the guy, shot the 2 National Guard members in D.C., he was an Afghan national, as I mentioned before, worked with the CIA over in Afghanistan, and they had a program where they brought some of these people over, obviously, after the Taliban came in. And this whole thing's just, like anything else, gotten political. And so what we have is we have people blaming Trump, saying, the National Guard, they shouldn't have even been there. And then you have Trump blaming Biden because...
Why not?
That's what he does. He didn't even have a reason. But all of it for me is just sort of, I don't know. I don't like it, because if someone grabs a gun and goes and shoots somebody, I mean, that's who you blame. Why is this so hard? It's like everything we do, we're constantly trying to be smart. And it's not smart. For me, you're complicating things. You're adding all these layers to it. I mean, can you imagine someone comes and attacks somebody you care about, and instead of talking about them, I mean, does that make, I don't know. For me, it doesn't make sense.
I see where you're coming from. They're like, why am I going to add layers? Why would I add a bunch of layers of complexity to this thing? It seems pretty much.
It's pretty straightforward. Yeah. If you want justice, that's the person you're going to get justice from. Yeah. And I don't know why we have to play politics every time something like this happens, because look, every day there are people in places that you could say they shouldn't have been. They don't have to get shot. And they definitely don't have to get murdered like the 20-year-old young woman from West Virginia who died from this situation already. And there's no excuse for that. That person did that. And so whether or not
decisions.
Yeah. And so whether or not Trump's bad decision to have the National Guard deployed or not plays into it just seems irrelevant to me, because you're not going to get justice from anyone else. The only justice you're ever going to get is from the person who decided. I don't know. Violence is one of those things for me. When someone decides to cross that line and commit violence, you stop right there and you say, that's the person. Yeah. They did it. And I don't know, there's no reason to extrapolate. There are victims here, real victims. I'm not the victim. I don't need to extrapolate and be like, well, these other people are victims. We're all victims. You know what I mean? There's a habit that it seems like people have gotten into where they have to outthink the situation. They have to leverage it. And I just don't think violence is, it seems tacky to me to leverage it that way.
Well, maybe they're looking for a cause, but in a situation like that, there is, there's no excuse. And when you're looking for a cause, you're trying to lay blame or find an excuse for why a thing happened. But to your point, it's just a bad decision.
Yeah,
it's a bad decision that tied to an individual,
and that person did it, and that's I don't know, and it just bothers me. It just rubs me the wrong way. The whole time I'm seeing a bunch of people on TV going back and forth. Well, this wouldn't have happened if this. I mean, none of it would have happened if not for a whole sequence of everything in the world. But that person did that, and they didn't have to do it. They didn't even know these people. They didn't even have beef with these people. So, there's no reason that could happen anywhere, any day. And like, earlier we were talking about how this person was already in personal crisis, and they were traveling, across the country and not telling their family and disappearing for days on end.
Yeah, and
it's
not to say that he wasn't struggling with real things.
He was, but what I'm saying is that's not attached to who his victims were.
Exactly.
Someone was going to be a victim, and there's no reason for us then to try to figure out, why the victim was where they were, as if, we got to blame somebody else. And that's just it's not useful. It's not useful is all I'm saying. And I think, especially when it comes to victims and crimes and assailants, we need to be clear about it, and not, because you're not going to go into court and say, well, I blame the Trump administration. Where's that going to get you? You know what I mean? It's not going to go anywhere.
You wouldn't blame any administration. How's that going to go?
The person
like a defense attorney would be up there and be like, my client didn't do this.
They didn't do this. The person grabbed a gun and went and did this, and we can't even really explain why. You know what I mean? It doesn't even attach to that. So that just rubbed me the wrong way. So have you been keeping up with the Ukrainian peace deal?
Yeah, peace.
Boy, it's a mess, isn't it?
Yeah.
And they're still trying to talk. Witkoff, I think today was supposed to be over in Moscow with Jared Kushner. Zelensky was supposed to talk to Witkoff before that. But I mean, these deals that they tried to come up with, because they gave him a 6-day deadline last week, which, they told Zelensky basically give up territory, give up your military, and don't join NATO.
Yeah.
I mean, come on.
Yeah. He didn't need 6 days to turn that down.
No. And I mean, it's like every deal lands with, so Russia can do this again.
Yeah.
Russia can regroup and just come right back. And I don't understand.
And so that deal, the terms of that peace treaty make it sound as if Ukraine was the aggressor.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Like Ukraine needs to stop doing what they're doing.
Take their military away because, but when I read it, I thought about it and I'd be like, that would be like World War II. Germany's attacking Great Britain for all those years. And America, instead of joining Great Britain and fighting the fight, they come up and they say, let's do a peace deal. And
Great Britain has to give up territory and their military.
Yeah. Yeah.
Even though they're the victim.
Yeah.
It makes no sense.
It makes no sense at all.
I'm glad that they have continued the conversation, but I just don't see where it's going because at this point, Russia's not going to stop. Nobody's stopping them.
No.
And so
you're not going to stop them by taking away the people that they're fighting's military.
Well, yeah, exactly. And what they're looking for is a reset. They're saying, okay, then we can rebuild.
And wasn't there I'm gonna get this all wrong, but there was a strategy of the I believe it was the British Prime Minister before Winston Churchill, appeasement.
Mm-hmm.
And
it's never worked.
It gets ridiculed now.
It led to World War II.
Yeah.
We know what.
And this looks a lot like that.
It looks an awful lot like that. But it does play into the why is Trump. I mean, if he goes and meets with Putin like he did in Alaska and he claims that, Putin's trying to work on something and then all they do is attack Ukraine more. I mean, they're just thumbing. I don't know. I do understand that how are you going to get them to stop? That is a tough one.
Yeah.
But that should have happened at the beginning.
I think NATO would be more of a deterrent than anything else.
I agree. And I don't see how you come up with any deal that doesn't land with Ukraine being in NATO. But I also don't see how Russia signs any deal that lets Ukraine land in NATO because they know what they want to do. They want to take all of Ukraine.
Yeah.
And they'll take, you go back, what was it, 2014?
Not only that, they want to weaken NATO.
Yeah. And they did this in 2014. Then they took a break and then they come back. And now whatever deal they would sign would only be, we're going to take a break and come back and do this again.
Yeah.
So I don't, this whole thing's a mess.
I mean, and if you're any of those other countries, Estonia,
Romania, I think, all those
any of those other countries over there. I mean, like you're looking at this and you're like, what are you thinking?
Yeah. And
they're going to want to be in NATO as quick as they can be. Like, put me in NATO
well, like
right
I've
now.
said from the very beginning is I don't understand why you don't just mobilize the largest military effort ever between NATO and the United States and just push down on Russia and say, do it then.
Park it on the border.
Do it. Yeah. Because this is you claim, you're out here just willy-nilly talking about nuking England and making it unlivable. We need to stop this junk.
Yeah.
Like, that's not how we do this.
And where and do it where there are actually stakes. In contrast, and it might be in the agenda later, but I was reading an article or listening to an article on the radio that said that the United States has 15 to 20% of its naval capacity in the Caribbean.
Yeah, now messing with Venezuela, right?
Yeah.
That's great.
And now the stakes are not very high in Venezuela right now.
Nope, there's no threat from Venezuela.
No.
Nope.
No, but
so why wouldn't you put that same kind of energy and that same kind of effort into a peace deal when I don't understand the whole thing. I mean, I know people are going to attach Trump to Russia and all this other stuff. I get that too because there is a history there. there is a history there. The P tape might still be out there.
Yeah, we don't say if I was going to make a deal, what would I want?
Yeah.
Maybe I would want Ukraine.
Yeah, that's pretty much
If I could make you president, would you give me
Ukraine? Like maybe. That seems like an easy one, right?
Yeah.
But
I don't want to I don't feel like I'm reaching or anything.
But it's a damn shame in global history that the United States and Europe couldn't stop this sooner, quicker, and just put an end to it and say we're not doing that.
Yeah.
It just seems like a damn shame.
And it's not that they couldn't. It's
they wouldn't.
Well, yeah, it's the unwillingness of the leadership at the time.
Yeah, and basically it shows you there's one country right here that's not a member of NATO, And what are they doing?
Yeah.
They're invading them. Like, hey, y'all, come on. It's not useful. And I feel bad for Zelensky. I feel bad for the people of Ukraine because nobody asked for this. No, and there are people out there who try to be like, well, Ukraine was doing it. They weren't threatening Russia. They ain't never had no threat against Russia. They can't invade Russia. You out of your damn mind. I mean,
Ukraine wouldn't in that span from 2014 to now, 10 years, 11 years. They didn't even threaten to take Crimea back.
No, all they did was shore up their defenses because they knew these fools was coming again. And guess what? They came again. And that's, I don't know. I would love to see something different. It just doesn't feel like we're going to see anything.
No, that's not a deal.
And then for Trump to threaten, like, we're not going to give you any more military aid if you don't sign this deal. But the deal is that you're not going to give me any more military aid anyway. So what is this?
The deal is I'm not going to have a military anymore. I can't take it.
I'm not going to have a country anymore.
Yeah.
I mean, this is.
Yeah.
There's no take there. There's nothing to say except for we're continuing to watch this bullshit and we don't have global leadership. No. I mean, even in NATO, even in Europe, it's like, come on, y'all. No. I mean, you mean tell me you haven't spent any money on your military enough to be able to step up and say we can handle this?
Yeah.
Because it doesn't seem like Russia would really look at the fact that they can't take Ukraine. Then it tells you that militarily they don't want to throw down with real countries that have real stuff. I mean, with our last episode, I showed you their AI robot drunk on stage, falling down. So, I mean, it just isn't, they're not what they claim to be. They never are. And I don't know why people don't call them out on it. It's amazing that Putin can just lie to the world over and over and over. And it doesn't matter. No one says, oh, you can't do that. They just keep on playing the game and people keep dying. So I saw
a lot of P-tapes out there, probably.
And maybe so. There's a lot of people with some compromat on them. It must be, man, because they ain't taking the actions they need to take.
You can't figure out, like, what's the other reason? What could be the other reason?
It's like when you and I were talking about how much money we spend on our military and you were like, it's good. I mean, if it was good, then we could just say no and they would stop.
Right.
I mean, we spent all this money on this military and we can't just tell Russia, hey, you ain't doing that. Apparently not. Right. So what's the point? We punking down Venezuela.
Punking down
Venezuela.
That's it.
I get it.
And then not even admitting to that.
And acting like it's just whatever it is.
Yeah.
And even though they have more oil than any country in the Middle East. Okay. I see where this is going. Yeah. I see where it's going fast. All of a sudden, he looks an awful lot like Putin, doesn't he?
Yeah, a little bit.
I found me a country in my hemisphere that I can just possibly invade. We'll see how it goes. I don't see him doing that. He's more of a punk you down kind of president than an actual put boots on the ground. He doesn't seem to.
Well, the article I was listening to made it sound like it was a bit of a standoff now. It's like if Maduro is not out of there.
They do want to get rid of Maduro.
By the time Trump is done with his presidency, then he took an L. Then Trump took an L.
Yeah. So, well, no, they definitely want to get rid of Maduro, but they claim that they've got CIA options and everything else. So they're getting thick over there, and they closed the airspace over Venezuela. Somebody's got to give
still flying
drug planes,
illegals into there.
Yeah, they're gonna do something. So I saw this, and this is one of those things that just these researchers at the University of Minnesota have discovered a new pandemic. They say that whiteness is a pandemic. Quote, the centuries-old culture of whiteness features color blindness, passivity, and white fragility, which are all covert expressions of racism common in the United States. Whiteness is a pandemic, like it's spreading.
This has got to be somebody trolling.
No, this is real, man. At the University of Minnesota, they did this. And then they had the nerve to interview for their research only about 400 people who are all Minnesotans, all white, all liberals with college degrees, making between $125,000 and $150,000 a year. I don't even know what they're interviewing them and asking them, but I mean, you can go back to some of this, and when you start talking about white fragility, that one always, I'm like, so you mean to tell me, like, you're sitting down interviewing somebody and be like, hey, if I say that people who look like you suck, how does it make you feel? And you'd be like, well, I don't like that. They'd be like, okay, white fragility. Yeah. We kind of do. Yeah. Or they're saying that, but then they wouldn't be fragile. Yeah. I mean, they're claiming white fragility is one of these things. Passivity. I mean, like, I just don't understand. So you're telling me.
Give me your coffee.
But this is saying not doing. Yeah. Like, I can take things from you. So they're racist. I mean, this whiteness is fragile and passive. I mean, this is bullshit, man. Like, it doesn't even
That's what I'm saying. It sounds like they're trolling. It sounds like they're making fun of white people.
It doesn't even fit the description that you claim to be saying, but they go on. I mean, this stuff is pretty ridiculous.
Well, so they call it a pandemic now. Is it contagious?
And that's what I'm saying. Like, it doesn't even make any sense. There's nothing.
Can black people get this, or is it? They're not.
They probably
they're
could.
immune. They're immune to it.
But so here's what I'm saying is when Trump wins two out of the last three elections, and you constantly hammer home to the party that we have voted for our whole lives, Democrats, and say, hey, y'all, I don't think that's the way to go. This is that. Have you still not figured it out? You can't keep attacking every white person in the country and then look up and say, oh, we lost the election, told you. You know, I mean, like, you're pushing them in that direction. When you start saying, I mean, come on, that they're fragile. I mean, what the hell are we talking about here? Passive? But you're claiming that, you know, essentially that whiteness is violent and a problem and, you know, and hateful.
And oppressive.
And oppressive, but they're passive. I mean, like, it sounds...
They're passive and oppressive.
It sounds like you're just trying to attack. It feels to me like it's this vindictiveness to go back and say, well, they did something to someone else, and we have sort of an opening, a free reign to do the same thing that we claim that we saw them do. And all of a sudden, it looks like these folks, like the researchers and other people, pundits in the media, folks who want to push all this stuff, it looks to me like they're enjoying it. Like they got a taste of it. The thing that they claim to hate, racism, suddenly they had an opportunity to be racist and they fucking love it, man. They're like, well, I don't want to stop doing it. I'm gonna keep talking bad about white people. You can't call this research. This is a theory. You made a statement. It's a political statement. It's not research. Like, you found it. Like, there's something happening. And
pandemic. That's a weird way to describe it too. A
pandemic, man. You think they're gonna have a where you can get a vaccine?
A vaccination for
I mean, you know, that Johnson & Johnson, get you 2 shots and then you can get rid of that whiteness.
Yeah.
I don't know. You wake up in the morning and be like, man, I got a case of whiteness, man. You think they're going to shut down the economy?
Well, wouldn't that, if you came to get your vaccine, wouldn't that prove your passivity?
Or something? Well, no, I mean, I don't know. I don't know. I mean, they went so far. Here's another quote from them here. They said, this is them justifying what they've done, naming the whiteness pandemic shifts our gaze from the victims and effects of racism onto the systems that perpetuate racism, starting with the family system. I mean, this is getting nasty. These resources are directed at Caucasian people, as the researchers claim that children growing up in white families are socialized into harmful, racist ideologies. God, dog.
Man, I don't believe any of that's true.
Have you ever heard anything more racist in your life? They just openly said that growing up in a white family makes you terrible and we need to save you. Like, can you imagine saying that about any other people on this planet and calling it research that was paid for with public money at a public university in Minnesota? Dear God, people, what have we fallen down to? And again, then you be like, oh, I don't know how we lost this election. It's because they're racist. It's like, well, no, I mean, maybe calling people names and playing identity politics is just not the way to go, because this ain't research. This is politics. This is bullshit right here. And it
seems flimsy.
And it starts to feel, to me, just vindictive. It's like, again, I think people got addicted to it. Like, there was an opening after George Floyd and during the pandemic where it was like, you can say whatever the hell you want about white people and ain't nobody gonna stop you. And man, they were like, man, this feels good. You know what I mean? And it's like, no, see, you're doing the thing. You know, you fell in love with the thing, you know, that you claim to be trying to stop. That's not, and, you know, if it was a comedy skit, okay, you know, maybe a little lazy. You know, because I enjoy racial comedy. I grew up watching Richard Pryor and Eddie Murphy, and you know what I mean? I like that. But this isn't that. This is academics. This is people claiming that they use their education to come to the fact that there's a white pandemic. Can you imagine saying that there's a pandemic of any other race? I ain't even gonna say none because it sounds terrible to say it.
Right.
You know, like, oh no, they're spreading.
Nah, you wouldn't do that.
Man, come on. This is, you're a racist. No, you're crazy. I mean, that's pretty much all America's got going on right now. It's just, that's what we need to be talking about. I mean, I just don't understand what's the get? What's the get here? You know, just get a bunch more white people to be like, yeah, I'm
show me a vaccine. Yeah. So the only way you could, like, this is not true at all, but one of the ways you can prove a pandemic is by creating a vaccine that cures the pandemic, right? If it's a virus or some sort of contagion, you isolate the contagion and then you're able to relieve the contagion. Or you're going to have to prove that to me. You're gonna have
It
to show
sounds like they're saying if you snatch these white kids out of their house and get them away from their family, then they won't catch a case of whiteness.
But didn't they do that in the past in like the Inuits of Canada or something like that?
I don't know.
Didn't they snatch them out of their homes and force them into? I think they did
horrible.
it. Yeah.
Oh no,
they can't do that.
No, that's what I'm saying, man. This is all bad. I just can't. It's like you try to wrap your mind around it and be like, where are they coming from?
And what's the solution? What solution are they proposing?
And man, and here's the thing. Like I grew up, I talk about this all the time, growing up in a otherwise all black neighborhood. All my friends were black. Everybody around the black neighborhood was black. 3 years in my elementary school, I was the only white kid in the school. And I've never attached to whiteness. But when people were like, so aggressively anti-white people, which seems arbitrary because they're not naming names. They're just saying your skin looks like this. So suddenly, boom, boom, boom. I feel that a little bit of defensiveness, you know, where I'm like, whoa. I didn't do nothing. What are you talking about? And then
I don't want to be defensive.
And so then I take that on and I say, well, this surely is pushing, you know, if I, as much as I don't attach to it, surely this is pushing people away. Surely there are people who are like, well, bump that. You know what I'm saying?
Nobody's listening to that anyway. Nobody's nah.
Well, but there are definitely people who want to hear this, you know, because it further justifies them being like, I knew you was going to say that about me. I mean, you remember when the Smithsonian came out back during the pandemic talking about all these descriptions of white people and they eat bland food. They don't like flavor on their food.
Yeah.
Some racist. What are you talking about? Like who wrote that? And it was okay somehow or another for at least a minute until people were like, and you know, when would you sit down and be like, I'm gonna describe a race? Like at some point we gotta realize that y'all having too much fun with white people, man. You better stop, man, because that's how we ended up with Trump. Stop this junk, man. It's not helping. If it was working, it would have worked by now. And it looks like it's a full-blown failure. Like pull the white people in. You know what I'm saying? Start telling them all ain't no difference between us. Like they said on here that one of the signs of whiteness is color blindness, you know, because they'll be like, well, I don't even see color. And I understand the academic understanding of, well, you should see color and this, that. Yes, they're full of shit. They definitely see color. But what do you think they want to say to you? You know, you get the point of what they're saying is I don't try to treat people differently.
Right.
And you're demonizing that. You're literally, it's like basically you asked white people questions and no matter what answer they gave, you're like racist. Like, oh, well, that's a description of racist. There is no white answer you could give at that point. You know what I'm saying? If you're a white person and be like, how do you feel about this? How do you feel about this? I'm going to talk a bunch of shit about you. How you like that? I don't like it. You're fragile, which is a sign of racism. Like, God, dog, man, like chill out. Ain't nobody.
Yeah.
I really think this all boils down to what I was saying. I could be wrong, but I think folks got a taste of what it's like to be openly racist, and they haven't figured out how to let go of it yet. They're like, oh, man, I can say all this stuff about white people and get away with it. And they're like, oh, man, it feels great. And it's like, see, you have become the thing you claim to hate. Don't do that. Don't do that. Make you feel good about yourself. Be like, oh, I can write a research paper hating on white people. Dear God, call it a pandemic. Called a pandemic.
Yeah, that doesn't make any sense.
A disease, essentially, is what you're saying. Like whiteness is a disease. Maybe I just haven't seen whiteness. Maybe I just don't know what they're talking about.
Yeah, maybe it's up there in Minnesota. Hasn't spread down here yet.
It ain't in Minnesota, dog. Ain't nothing but Somalis in Minnesota. You know it. They changed their state flag. Look like the Somali flag. Have you ever seen that?
No.
Oh, bruh. Somalia should be suing them for copyright infringement. Minnesota tripping, man. They're just like little Somali right here.
Yeah, and that's what Trump was getting on to.
He said he gonna start deporting all them Somalis from Minnesota, man. Like it's getting rough over there, but that don't mean you gotta come after all the people with white skin. I don't even consider myself like a white person. I don't even like that word. I have white skin, okay? That's all I got. I ain't got nothing in common with none of these people. I ain't been to no white meeting. We ain't getting no white newsletter.
The term hasn't even been around that long, like a couple hundred years, 150 years.
Yeah, they said for centuries. They were getting a little loose there.
Yeah,
I think,
not centuries.
All this racial stuff, I think it was maybe in the 1400s. There was somebody in Europe that hired somebody to write a book, and that's sort of where people trace it to the beginning. But I mean, come on. It all comes down to like America and the Civil War and that's when it all really got racialized. Yeah. And then, you get into the Southern strategy, which is what it seems like, liberals and academics are hoping they can do is try to use identity politics to divide and conquer and pull people in. But all they've done is push people out. Clearly, it's not working. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. Make a white friend. Damn. And then ask them, like, if I talk all this junk about you, how do you feel? And give them a second. Look in their eye, because they fixing to lie to you. They're going to be like, it's okay. Like, but you hear it in their voice. You be like, it's not okay. Ain't nobody trying to be talked about like that just because you was born the way you look. I mean, that's what gets me about the modern day Democrat compared to the way we grew up as Democrats. I thought we was trying not to do this. I mean, I swear we were like, hey, man, we all people, man, let's get along. And now all of a sudden that is not what seems to be jumping out on the page as a whole bunch of, no, we're going to talk about it. We're going to talk about it all day, every day. Now, you can't talk about me, but I can talk about you. And it's like, well, I didn't want to talk about you. You know what I'm saying? Like, why are we doing this? This is all bad. It's all bad. That's America in a nutshell right now. All bad. Ain't nothing good happening. That's how you going to end up with the next Trump, though. You keep on doing that junk. Speaking of Trump, this is my favorite part of the whole agenda, actually. So this dude was going to unveil his own plan for the subsidies related to the Affordable Care Act. And, you know, because Democrats shut the government down over this thing, knew Republicans were never going to sign it, right? And we're making a big deal out of it, wanting to extend the subsidies, because if you don't, then over the next year, you're going to see people's premiums skyrocket on their health insurance.
Yep.
So apparently Trump's plan, which he has not actually unveiled because there was Republican pushback, but what he wants to do is, through executive order, extend the subsidies for the Affordable Care Act for 2 years, which would just take the issue off the table. Now, this is a Trump move if I've ever seen one, because if you really think about how crazy this is, if I can even begin to break it down, I had to write it down actually just to make sure I get this right. But so regardless of this man's long history of hating on Obamacare and the Affordable Care Act and claiming to want to replace it, but never having a replacement, regardless of all that, he wants to preempt the vote and extend the subsidies himself, which Democrats should argue is not legal because it has to be done by Congress. You can't do that by executive order, right? They were passed by Congress, so Congress should have to extend them. So are Democrats going to be in a position to fight Trump's extension of the subsidies that they want because it's not happening the way they want it to happen, which never would have happened anyway, which would have been the best political outcome for them going into the midterms, even though it hurts people all over the country? Think about it. I want you to think about this mess, because the best thing for Democrats as a party is that these subsidies do not get extended because of Republicans.
Right.
Because when you come into the midterms, you can tell everybody, look what happened to your premiums. So if Trump then just comes in and takes that off the table and extends it himself through executive order, what are you going to do? Do you just say, oh, well, now we can't talk about that? Or do you go and say he can't do that? And then show your cards and be like, because we want it to go to a vote in Congress. Yeah, we want it to go to Congress because we know Republicans won't sign it. And then we can claim a victory because we can point fingers at them. Well, at the end of the day, if what you really wanted was the subsidies, if that's what you really, really wanted, if that was the most important thing and Trump extends them for 2 years, then you going to throw a party? You going to celebrate? I don't think so. And they're not going to do that. Now, that's vintage Trump right there. Like, that don't even make no sense that he would extend it, except for from the political side, it does make sense because he takes it off the table for the midterm.
That's right.
Like, if you were a poli-sci major and you were in class and somebody was given a scenario and pulled something like that, you'd be in shock.
Yeah.
You'd be like, oh, he pulled a Trump. You know, like, I saw that in person.
Yeah,
like,
a big deal like that would probably help him, you know, with the seats in the House that are up in the midterm. That'd help a lot.
It takes that off the table. You're not going to be able to complain about the ACA subsidies coming into the midterm because Trump just wiped that off the table. And he's somehow the hero who saved everybody through the ACA. It's a mess.
Yeah.
But it's genius at the same time because you see the position it puts Democrats in. I'm just saying, let's watch it. Let's see what happens.
Oh, Trump would love that. He'd be like, Obama made ACA, but saved.
Oh, you know, he's going to say things like that.
Yeah.
But we have to watch and see, does he unveil this plan? How do they deal with it? But it, you know, because the Republicans are pushing back on, because, you know, good and damn well, they can't go back to their constituents and explain what I just said to you. They can't be like, well, hold up. Yes, we all hate it. But you know what I mean? If this doesn't happen, which I never would have voted to happen, it's going to hurt you. And I was going to hurt you, but we're going to let him not hurt you. It just gets, you know, you see what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah. It's confusing.
It is a damn mess. It's a Trump maneuver, man.
Yeah.
It's like you could go to school and try to study politics and they'd be like, you come up with a Trump maneuver. And you would have to think long and hard to be like, how would I go against everything I've ever said and yet at the same time claim a full-blown victory and destroy my enemies coming into an election? That's it right there. That's some of that Trump giant. Folks don't give him enough credit for that type of stuff because he's outside the box. Now, he might not do it. Maybe Mike Johnson and them are like, come on, man. But then if they don't, then the premiums are going to shoot up and Democrats are going to have a lot more energy coming in the midterms being like, yeah, you were already suffering from inflation. Boom, 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 boom. Now you get knocked over by these premiums. What are you going to do? Because Republicans don't have that replacement they've been talking about all these years.
Yeah, I saw a Daily Show. I think it was Jon Stewart was doing segments on Trump and talking about the economy and how Trump was going to, in this interview, try to describe how he was going to walk the tightrope with, like, you know, which part of the economy is bad, which part of the economy is good. And Trump's like, oh, if it's good, then it's me. If it's bad, then it's Biden.
Yeah, it's always Biden bad, him good. It doesn't make any sense.
And it's going to be the same thing with the healthcare. He'll be like, no, when I saved the healthcare, it was good. Everything about Obama's healthcare was bad.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, that's just Trump talking, but it works that way for him. It ends up clearly he's been elected twice. Something's working for him.
Yeah.
So the last thing I had was Trump's boy Pete Hegseth, who's been under fire for this double tap attack. Have you?
Yeah,
been keeping up with that? Now this thing,
war crimes.
Yeah, but I can't fully.
But they're not at war.
That's what I can't fully wrap my mind around is like, I completely understand maritime rules and war crime rules, especially, but when you think about the reality of if you're at war with somebody and your Navy attacks them and takes out a ship and people are jumping over in the water or whatever.
That's it.
The weapon was the ship. I mean, those officers, those folks on the ship don't even carry guns. I mean, that's stupid. Why would you? That's not what you're doing. You're not pirates, okay? You're not jumping on another boat. And so I understand from a military war standpoint 100% how this works. But we're not at war in that way. They're designating these folks as terrorists. If you go back and look at the way we've treated terrorists, the people were the target. So I can't 100% understand exactly whatever. I do understand Democrats trying to attack Republicans every chance they get. I get that. We have to. But at the same time, it's not realistic to think like when Barack Obama was ordering all those drone attacks in the war on terror. If they hit a target and they said, oh, you know what I'm saying, this person survived, you mean tell they wouldn't shoot again?
Yeah, they had to.
I mean, that was the target. The target was the person. Now, in this case, could you argue that the target is the boat and the drugs and that the people are not the target? So therefore, if they survive. But at the same time, if the boat's still floating, which I think in this case it kind of was, and then you fire again, just because there's somebody too close to the boat, does that really mean that you were murdering them? Because you were trying to kill them the first time. So why are we acting so weird about trying to kill him the second time?
Yeah.
I mean, this is violence. Yeah. I mean, and so for me at that point, once you cross over and say, I'm trying to kill you, oh, I failed. So I can't try to kill you again.
But so what's interesting to me about it is the dance that everybody at the top, Hegseth, Trump, they're both saying, I didn't order it.
Well,
I didn't do it.
Hegseth saying this admiral, he's supposed to be testifying in front of Congress this week, and that he has his full support, and that he did. And at some point, they talked about self-defense, and I don't know why that word was thrown out there because somebody in a speedboat with drugs is not. I mean, because if you hit the boat once and leave it, they're going to die. I mean, you know what I mean? They're out there in the middle of the ocean with a sinking boat full of drugs. So I don't know. And probably injured. You got hit with a damn missile or something. I don't know what they're shooting up. Tomahawks? Who knows? Yeah. I just can't grasp what we're talking about. I mean, I can understand. Look, if you want to say we shouldn't be doing it, that is an adult conversation. That is fine. Once someone does it, I don't understand but you can't do it twice.
Well, and to that end, in that argument, I would come at it from the other way. It's like, why are, like, if it's Hegseth or if it's Trump that's given the order to strike the boat, why don't we just come out and say, like, yeah, we did it twice. We were going after our target. That was our target. And we wanted to have it and say, hey, we think it's legal. Yeah. We think we have legal grounds to do it. If you want to challenge us, challenge us. But yeah, that's what we did.
I think what set this off was.
But they won't come out and say it.
No, but the original article, I think, the story from the Washington Post, I think what did set it off is there was a quote in the Washington Post that says somebody said, leave no survivors.
Yeah.
So, and we don't know if those words were actually said. Sometimes the media can get twisted up or whatever, but that would be a little hateful, but isn't it hateful to hit the boat? I'm just saying.
Yeah,
are you
begin with?
Yeah, are you telling them, hey, you're probably firing a $300,000 weapon at this boat? Well, in the future, how about you fire $1 million weapons and make sure that whole thing gets disintegrated? Is that the solution to this? I know there are people saying you shouldn't be doing it at all.
Like we're kind of splitting hairs here.
Yeah, there's other ways to do it. And that, to me, again, that's a different conversation because currently this is the way they're doing it. And we're debating a secondary event. So we're not debating in that conversation whether you should be doing it in the first place. So I'm trying to keep these two things separate because that is a different conversation. But once you commit to it, I just don't. I understand the idea around war crimes. I understand. But what are we doing here? There is a ship.
Yeah, let's talk about that.
Yeah, that's what the real conversation. But there's a ship barreling towards the United States that does not have clearance to be in the United States. What is the difference between that and a military vessel coming at you or a war that you know what I mean? This is an invasion. At a really small scale. I get that. But also with drugs that we know are happening.
We've been calling it a war on drugs for like 3 decades.
And didn't they designate this group as a terrorist group?
Yeah.
So it seems like that kind of hedged their bet because I'm telling you, if you go back and you look at every terrorist we've killed, there was never a sense of, well, if you don't kill them on the first strike, you can't kill them on the second. That was never ever. I mean, going into Osama bin Laden's house and going up the stairs with a rifle and shooting him in the face, you mean to tell me that's not a war crime or something? Man, it doesn't sound like normal military action to me. I'm just saying.
You could call it a political assassination.
I mean, normally you're shooting at planes and tanks and soldiers on the field. You're not going in someone's home in the middle of the night and shooting them in the face, but we ain't complaining about that. I'm not personally.
No.
To hell with Osama bin Laden.
Yeah,
but I'm saying,
absolutely.
I'm saying if these folks are drug runners and they are,
but that was an operation that the United States government believed in, and then when they executed it, they were like, "Yep, we did it because we told you we were going to do it,
and that's what we did.
And this is a success."
Yeah, and so then you have to go back.
This would be the same thing. It's like, why not approach this the same way and be like, "No, we told you if the boats were in those waters,
and they knew this.
That's right, and we're gonna." Not only are we going to destroy the boat, we're going to destroy everybody on the boat.
Yeah, and so I don't understand. I just don't understand. That's all.
Why talk around it? We just go.
Yeah, because we talked about this in the past where they said that there was some survivors and they picked them up and sent them back to their other country.
You're like, what?
And I was asking,
not to be inhumane.
No, but I was asking, what are the rules here? It sounds like you got some rules, but I mean, what are you doing? So now they just, they're supposed to go get another boat and try to bring drugs again. Is this some stupid game? I mean, like you either don't want drugs in your country and you're stopping them or you're not. Again, we can talk about the method.
Yeah.
Because I'm not sure that this is an expensive method. I'm not sure it's the best method. At the same time, we are in a drug crisis. Yeah. So whatever we've been doing has flat out failed. So let's not automatically just attack every solution to a real problem. Yeah. Let's at least come up with an alternate solution.
A 30-year war on drugs that we're like, you can tell who won.
And they're coming in.
Drugs won.
South America won.
Yeah,
South America won by a lot because it's never stopped. And we've just, you see cities, you see these blocks where people are just drugged out and dying. And you're like, can we stop that stuff from coming in the country?
Like the richest men in the world are in Mexico.
Yeah,
Colombia.
I mean, I understand politically this is the problem with Trump is when he does things, it's like he doesn't do it the right way, but he's going after topics that are real topics that no one has solved. And it's like, so can you tell me your solution to the problem?
Right.
Because that's what I want to hear from Democrats is tell me what your solution is.
Is it going to be better than that? Because shipments of drugs to the United States through the Caribbean are way down. And so with all these issues, everything, and this is why I'll leave it at everything with Trump, I want to hear Democrats offer me their alternate solution, not their outrage at his solution. Yeah. Because the problem hasn't been solved for decades. And he's in there doing something we've never done on a lot of these things. And having an effect.
Yeah. And so if you want to get elected and you want to fix things, then you got to tell me what you're going to do. You can't just tell me that you hate Trump or you're not Trump.
Right.
Because that sounds like you're going to go back to the status quo.
Or don't tell me what you can't do. Tell me what you can do.
Yeah. Are you a Mexi-Can't or a Mexi-Can't?
That's right.
That's what we'll leave it at right there. You let me know what's going on. You got anything else for the agenda?
That's it. That's good.
Hey, once again, thank y'all for tuning in. 2 years of podcast and I'm enjoying it. We're going to keep it rolling. Enjoy the holidays. Peace out, y'all.